Hi, my name is Edward with Not Love, and I want to share with you my multi-step process for hand conditioning jute bondage rope. This process also works for hemp and cotton. I don't need it for nylon or bamboo or silk, but if you have some rough rope that you want to get ready for awesome rope play, this is the technique that I personally use that involves polishing, pulling, singeing, waxing, baking, and oiling. And by the time you're done this multi-step process, your rope will be ready for awesome use. So when jute rope is, when you first get it, it'll be stiff and it'll be kind of hairy and scratchy. And so this process is going to kind of break the rope in and polish it so it feels a lot nicer on the skin. It'll still be a little scratchy, but it's jute, and some people love the scratchiness, some people can't stand it. I love it. So let's begin. Step number one, the polishing process. So here I have a carabiner hung up on a ring, and I'm going to put the rope through the carabiner and then twist it around itself 3 or 4 times. It's up to you. And then very simple, you pull back and forth on itself, and then move the rope again and start over. And you notice this kind of raining little fuzz right now. So what this process does is it polishes the rope and it removes some of that fuzziness. It also breaks in the rope so that it starts to get a little softer and not quite as stiff. So how many times do you do it? 16 or so, I suppose. You just get into a little cadence where it just feels like, okay, that's good enough. And then you continue this through the whole length of the rope. I'm doing more than one piece of rope. I always wear gloves so that I don't get blisters on my hands. And then finish. And a lot of times I'll go ahead and do that one more time the other way, just to kind of get a little extra, but that's not necessary. So that is step number one, the polishing process. On to step number 2. This is the magical step. I learned this technique after doing some internet searching. I came across this one. I've never seen it anywhere else. It involves a metal ring. You take your rope, put it up through the ring, and wrap it around a few times. And then pull it out to make a little loop. And here's why again, pull it through the carabiner. And then I follow it in the same direction it was going. So here it comes out from the front, so I'm going to go in from the front and wrap it around a few times. So it looks like this. And then, very simple, you pull down on the rope while holding one side of it, and then hold the other side and pull up. And then pull down, and then pull up. And you notice every time you pull down, this rope is going to go around and around the ring, and then as you pull up, it goes around and around this other side. And every time it circles around and opens and closes the strands. So it really loosens things up in an amazing way. Just this process alone, I think, is it's all you kind of even really need to do to break in some rope. But I always do that polishing process to begin with. So this is my secret special technique, the rope ring technique, where you kind of pull it through and it opens and closes and really softens up the core of the rope. And you just finish. So ring around the rosy, and yeah, I think this is really a secret technique. And I'll just show you that wrapping around one more time. You come in and then wrap it around a few times. So this part goes through a carabiner, and then it'll wrap in around itself a few more times. Equal amount of wraps on both sides, and then kind of pull it through. And then again, what you'll need to do, just to be clear, is I'm going to hold this side, and then that allows this to pull through. And then I hold this side with the left side as I pull the other side up through. So I keep replacing what side I'm holding and then what side I'm pulling through until I'm all the way done. Okay, let's go on to step number 3. Okay, here we are, step number 3, the singeing. I think it's my favorite part. So here I have an outdoor camping stove. And the purpose of this is to singe off all the little hairs that are on the rope. So very simple, take one end and move it over the flame. You want to keep it moving at a somewhat steady pace, not too fast and not too slow. You obviously don't want to burn your rope, but if you can see, the little hairs just keep getting singed off it, like so. I also like doing a little twisting motion to kind of get all the sides of the rope singed off. You notice there's quite a bit of hairs getting singed. So again, the key to this is to have it move at a slow and steady pace. You can err on the side of a little too quick, because you can always go back and do it a second time. If you go a little too slow and you burn your rope, well, you might have to get a new piece of rope. Sometimes, if you're not careful, the rope can get kind of stuck on something. It can kind of loop around here or get caught or something, and then you're in danger of extra singeing your rope. But just be careful and you should be fine. So there, I did it once, and I usually like doing it twice. So the second time I might go a little faster, or I might slow down and look for areas that I missed the first time. And I'll just finish this up with you watching, get a sense of the speed. And then you'll just find your own kind of preference. Maybe you like going a little slower, maybe you like going a little faster. See, there's a little piece I missed, I'm gonna go back and get it. And I'll just keep moving it over like so. And you can see again, I'm kind of twisting it a little bit. Twist, twist, twist. Twist, twist. Twist, twist. Almost done. This is a key part of the conditioning process. All those little hairs are better off getting singed than getting into your rope bottom's skin. Though some bottoms really, really like extra scratchy rope, in which case you can skip this step, but I think it's an important step. There, okay, all singed. And then after I'm done singeing, I just get a slightly damp washcloth, not too wet at all, just slightly damp, and then run the rope through so that it gets off some of the soot. And I may also do this part twice, just to be extra clean, like so. Okay, now on to the next step, the waxing step. Okay, now on to the waxing. So I have a piece of wax. This is just raw beeswax, and this is a very simple step. I take it and you just run it over this beeswax block with a little bit of pressure, and you don't want to get too much wax on it, and you don't want to get, well, too little. I usually end up doing 2 passes. And I also do a little spinning motion like I was doing when I singe to try and get wax around on the whole piece of rope. So I just did one pass, and I can feel it, and there's not quite enough wax on it. So here I'll do one more pass. If you have too much wax, your rope can feel really heavy. So I tend to err on using too little, because it's always easy to add more, not as easy to take out wax. So yeah, I can feel it. It's getting a nice light coating, and it also smells really good. That fresh beeswax smell. Yeah, so I run it through, and it feels good. It feels like just enough wax to coat this in a good way. Some people have a mixture of wax and jojoba oil. There's different conditioning techniques. This is just the one that I like to use. So I really like the use of this raw, fresh beeswax. And yeah, it doesn't feel too sticky. Actually, it just feels a little light. I think I'm gonna do it very lightly just one more time so that I can, yeah, just get a little more on there. So here I'm just going super lightly. It just didn't feel like there was quite enough wax on there. Again, I'm doing it really lightly. I'm not trying to get a ton of wax, just a little extra of a light coating. Great, now on to the next step, the baking. So here I just coiled the rope up, and then oftentimes I'm doing lots of different pieces of rope. So once I have it coiled, I don't know how I explain this, but I grab this piece and I make a little loop out the backside and put this through it. So I just have a quick little loop that I make. So what I'm going to do is put this in a pan and put it in the oven, and it's on at about 200 degrees, I think, and then I'm going to wait until I can kind of smell the beeswax and let the beeswax kind of coat in. So I'm going to go do that now, and I'll be back when it's ready. And on to the final step. Here's my rope freshly out of the oven, and I'm going to take it, undo that little knot that I did, and take some jojoba oil, put a little squirt in the palm of my hand. Oh, can't really see it. About that much. Not too much, not too little. And rub my hands together, and then run my hands in the rope and coat the rope relatively evenly with the jojoba oil. The rope is still warm, and you don't want too much so it's like dripping off. And you can always add a little more jojoba oil later on. And then the last little bit I do is just kind of run it through my hands a few times, just to kind of smooth it out, and get it all nice and evenly coated, get the rest of it off my fingers. And there you go. And now this rope that was once stiff and scratchy and not very lively is all of a sudden very soft and supple, and it has this buoyancy to it that feels really nice. For me, that's just the right amount of wax and oil so that it kind of flies through my fingers and doesn't feel too heavy. And then I'll just show you briefly how I coil the rope. I get the ends, and then I go like this, and I lay a loop forward, and then I come back this way and go lay a loop backward. And then here I lay a loop in front of me and lay a little loop to the rear. I keep doing that, folding it over itself, like so, until I have a little bit left. and then I wrap it around a few times, once or twice, and then here's kind of the cool key, is I tuck it in through this large bite here, and then you could just put it on a carabiner and leave it like that, but for longer term storage, I tuck it down through one of these lower reps. Like this. So here's the bite. And then the benefit of doing it this way, instead of just kind of making loops, doing that kind of back and forth movement, is that when you uncoil the rope, it doesn't ever get tangled. So it's easy to, when you're ready for a new piece of rope, to just, here's where the bite is, you hold this part of the rope, and you can just give it a little shake, and then your rope is open and ready for use. So there you go. There's my multi-step process of pulling and polishing, singeing, waxing, wiping down, baking, and oiling, all for the most supple, wonderful rope that you can use in rope play. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy your lovely new conditioned rope.